Welcome again to another episode of the Dialed and Driven Hockey Mentality Podcast. My name is Chris Palmer. I'm a mental performance coach for hockey players throughout North America and Europe. I'm joined with Jeff Lurg, the co-founder of this podcast, former professional hockey player, pulled out a national championship at Michigan State. Every single week, we try to bring you things that are actionable, things you can do to try to help you in your hockey career. And for those people watching who have people they love, to try to help you support them. Today, like all days, we're trying to find another piece of the puzzle for you. And the piece of the puzzle today is to bring on somebody who's really excelled in youth hockey. It's important because this story is the story of trying to get where you want to go, but at a level we haven't covered before. We've had Dakota Joshua from the NHL. We've had former NHL guys come in. We've had coaches of the NHL come in. It's fantastic having this, but these guys all started at a spot. And we have a special guest today who started at a place that didn't feel so successful, that didn't feel like the dream was going to happen. And then he made some decisions in his life to change piece by piece to get to a place that's pretty outstanding. Jeff, you want to start with the introduction?
Thanks, Chris. And today we have a hockey player. We have Aidan Miller. He's an 18-year-old centerman playing Tier 1 hockey. He's someone who I've known for just about 4 years and someone who's exemplified the dialed and driven mentality to go from a player who wasn't playing too frequently as a 15-year-old into an 18U team captain. So we're here today with Aiden to discuss his journey a little bit. And really, it's exciting because many of our listeners are youth athletes and they see all these old people coming in and lecturing them. We want someone who's right in the midst of it to give him his real life story that will most certainly be able to be applied to all of our youth athletes. So Aiden, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're fired up. Aiden's background, I'll give a quick little background on Aiden. I met him as I think he was a 16-year-old playing Tier 1 hockey in the Detroit market. I was working at an academy. He was attending an academy. I was the goalie coach working with the goalies. And Aiden made a good impression on me by being one of the only people who would listen when I was describing to the shooters what the drill was and how to execute the drill for the goalies. So Aiden and I became, formidable with one another. Aiden, can you shoot tomorrow? I'd love to have you. Built a relationship. And then it became time where at the end of the year, Aiden was looking for a new opportunity. I kind of helped open the door for him at a new hockey club. And then from there, he transformed from this fourth line, playing sporadically type hockey player into what is now as an 18-year-old, a first line captain. So that's our purpose of bringing Aiden on. So Aiden, with that background, we'd love to hear you describe what you think has changed. Of course, you grew up, you matured over the course of 4 years, but what else has changed in your mentality from that not playing a lot to being the trusted man on the team?
Yeah. Like you said, maturity is a big thing. But I think that more so just sitting back and not trying to pounce on a situation, more like just sitting back and reading the situation, understanding it, helps me out a lot.
So one thing I just want to mention is just so you have an idea of where he is. He's not just somebody in youth hockey. Right now, depending on the week, he's somewhere between number 3 and number 8 in the country in Tier 1. He's playing 18s.
In points, yeah, overall
which
points.
Is pretty crazy. I mean, that's somebody who's definitely figured some things out that aren't so easy to figure out. And I'd love to go back to the person I knew in the beginning when I first met you. You were this guy who everybody liked because you're just funny. You're super quick. You're super smart. You can make jokes all the time. And it's really tempting to kind of stay in that world because that world is great. Total social acceptance. Everybody thinks you're the guy who's going to make a joke. But you went from being that guy and being a pretty decent hockey player to being a guy that just started taking these leadership roles on your own. Nobody asked you. I know that you've talked to people and actually helped them with their problems, whatever that is. Not just hockey, sometimes their personal stuff. Sometimes at 11 o'clock at night, you're taking a call from somebody who just needs somebody they trust to talk to. You have a compassion for people. You started investing in people. You started investing in hockey. You started changing your whole life. What brought that on? Because you had it made. Everybody is a teenager. We all know you just want to be accepted. It's one of the hardest things. You were totally accepted. And you took the risk of going away from the acceptance of being the funny guy to being this guy who took these roles that could have possibly made you look like, in language used today, a tryhard. You could have been that.
Yeah.
You took the risk. How did you make that and why did you make that?
that happened more so over the past like probably 10 months ish, where I kind of got this from Jeff and Kim Muir. It's like the personal relationships that you have with people are more important than like an outside relationship, where I'm trying to be funny to the whole group rather than knowing the story of everyone. And that was kind of like my goal over the summer with people I worked with, people I like, future schoolmates, future teammates, stuff like that, where I'm just talking to them, like getting to know them. And then I turn trusted enough where they're texting me at upwards of 2 a.m, like, hey, can we talk? Like, I need to get something off my chest. Absolutely. People ask me why I'm up so late. Like, what if I'm the only person that's up for another person, that feels good to me. And I guess that kind of, like, I was socially accepted, you can say, but I feel like I'm more accepted now because I've done that. I feel like more comfortable talking to everybody in school rather than having to be the jokester,
Yeah, and you've matured, but really from my view, 3 years ago, you've been around the academy, our athlete academy, which I helped launch and build, and you're one of our first athletes to commit to it, because I knew you were a great kid and needed a new environment, and then you started to come around that environment. And I know that was truly what started to change that self-belief, as you were around this high-achieving, high-expectation environment. And then the credit to you is you started to make those tough decisions that once you started to make those tough decisions, you started to build more and more self-confidence in yourself. And that's where you are now after 3 years of being around a high-achieving environment. Now you start to believe, like, this is the way I live. This is the way I have to be every day. Mm-hmm. And so you see it from your perspective. I see it from a leadership perspective. It was the environment you were around, which is why Chris and I and Natalie love doing this podcast, because we believe we established this high level, this high successful, high achieving environment. And you got to be around that, and then your actions started to take place within that.
No, I think it's great. It goes back to this environment thing, right? Talk about this, like, you hear over and over again, you're so similar to the 5 people you spend most of your time with. And it's cool. And I say you've created that yourself. You're one of the 5 people for a ton of people in that classroom on your team. And it's interesting because it really is a different kind of leadership. You were leading by entertainment before, and you're leading by example now. And people are coming to you. It's amazing. But I'd love to go back to, I won't say the name of the team or any of this kind of stuff, but you didn't have it so easy in one of your earlier teenage years. You weren't getting a lot of ice time, weren't getting a lot of opportunity, and it pissed you off. Mm-hmm. And you were pissed, and you weren't reacting the way you'd react now. And some of it is probably measurably unfair. However, it's not the first time. We talk about this all the time. These are human beings. There's a lot at stake here. Sometimes the worst behavior comes out because people are selfish, and sometimes the worst behavior comes out because people just don't know better. But whatever it is, it's never perfect all the way up to the NHL. But in that moment, it felt almost personal, and you really, really were not enjoying it. And without giving details about where you were, can you tell me, how is that? And looking at it now, what would you do differently? Because you found a way to be much different in every single category.
Yeah. I think one thing that I wish I had at that point was someone to talk to. And that's partially why I like it when people come and talk to me and rant to me about whatever they want. Back then I had a lot on my chest, and going out and playing with everything on your chest, you grip your stick too tight. You're worried about making a pass, which should be simple, but it just worries you. You're wondering in the back of your head, what is coach thinking? Like, what are my parents thinking? Stuff like that. And over the span of a few years, I just realized, just sit back. You're here for the long run. It's not the end of the world if you make a bad pass in this one game, and that just develops confidence where I'm not gripping my stick too tight. I'm making simple plays, like playing loose, and then one pass leads to another, one pass leads to another, one shot leads to another, and then points just start flowing in. And that's what leads to confidence.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you are looser out there. I know you always attribute your success to just having fun. Mm-hmm. And for the teenage athletes growing up, Chris talks about all the time. It's easy to feel the weight of the world on your shoulder and the hawk eyes of your coach evaluating every play internally. Those are difficult things to work through if you have those on your mind. If those aren't on your mind, and the only thing on your mind, which is what you switched the gears to, was give my absolute best, show up every day with a great attitude, great effort, and then just have fun. Be loose, have fun, enjoy your teammates, be there for them. And being around you, we enjoyed your time so much. You started to become part of our Future Pro USA goalie school. You're an employee, you're a staffer during our 10-week summer camp, where during our podcast in the summer, we were recording at various rinks. And then you started to give that joy of the game to other kids. You were a very likable instructor. So all these things that we continue to talk about of be a good person, give your best, positively impact others, you started to do those things and still do those things. So that's the reason why we want to get you on here today and just hear a little bit more on the detail of maybe you can give that perspective now that you know you're in a leadership role on the team. Were you ever a captain before this year?
I was an assistant captain last year.
Okay, so you kind of worked your way up the ladder, right? So you went from kind of not playing to playing a little more to an assistant captain to now being a captain and the go-to guy. Maybe you can give us a little bit more on when did you start to feel that momentum build, or if you did at all?
Yeah, I've started to feel it build the spring after my 16th year, because we had the Maha player selection camp type of thing.
So that was after 15 year, you weren't playing a lot. 16 year, you started to play a little bit more.
Yeah. And then after 16th year, that spring, we had the camp and I lit it up.
Yeah. You had 11 points, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I was playing really well. 2 points a game at the camp. I made it all the way to the All-Star game for Michigan, which is where they select the kids to go to nationals, which I took huge pride in that. And then that's when I met Coach Joe, and
your current coach.
Yeah, right? Yeah, and he started to show confidence in me. He's like, I'm going to trust you on the ice. You're going to be a top guy for me, and I need you to know that I trust you. And that was a big thing in me building confidence as well. Is these people are throwing me out there because they want me out there, And it was closer to the end of last year, my first year of 18s, when we didn't have that good of a season. It was tough start, tough finish, But it got to a point where I was getting my bag out of the car and my dad just saying, go have fun. That's all that matters. And that's kind of what clicked in my head is I don't need to play to impress people anymore. I just want to play to have fun. That goes overlooked a lot in youth hockey is I need to get a goal today. I need to get 2 assists today, stuff like that. But I feel like that just makes you overthink more. And when you're just out there having fun, you're out there playing the game that you love. When you're 4 years old, you're not thinking about I need to score. You're just out there having fun, rolling around, making snow angels and stuff. Not saying I do that anymore, but and then just throughout this year, the start of this year, we're 22 games in right now. That's just been my focus is scouts are always going to be at my games. I don't need to think about that they're going to be at my games. I just want to go out and have a good time. That's all that really matters. And I've had multiple people reach out to me and they're like, I don't know what to do. I don't feel like my coach trusts me. I'm not getting ice time. And that's there's one in particular three weekends ago. A close friend of mine's I don't know what to do. I don't feel confident on the ice. I'm scared. And I'm it's because you're not having fun. You're playing out there. I need to impress coach. I need to impress coach. I need to impress my parents. Go out there and have fun. Next day I get a text. I scored. That's just, that really clicked and made a big difference for me is just have fun. I attest a lot of my success this year to that. So
that's great. Well, I think what's cool is that we don't talk a lot about that, right? And it's true. You'll have kids. I know a guy's plumber. He's 70 years old, and he still doesn't have feeling in 3 of his fingers because when he was a kid, he'd play from sunup to sunset in the snow in Michigan, and he had frostbite in his fingers, and he didn't even notice it because he was having so much fun playing hockey all day. there is something about that. There's something joyful about that. And there's something freeing about that. Because one of the problems as you get older, and I swear it starts right around adolescence, you talk to 7, 8-year-old kids, they generally don't worry a lot about everything. But somewhere around adolescence, you start thinking about, where do I fit in? How do I look? And it becomes so introspective that you're listening to that doubt, fear, worry crap, and it holds everybody back. But you're talking about the antidote, and one great antidote, which you told me before we recorded today, it's overlooked. This is a big thing. But it is true. When people play free, it's a different game. When you're executing the things that it's a different game. But it's hard to do that when you're so paralyzed thinking it's going to be the end of the world. But you decided none of it will be the end of the world.
Right.
You decided, hey, I'm just going to go do this thing, and good things will happen or they won't. But man, if good things happened. How do you feel about all this? How do you feel about this kind of transformation? I know you have plenty more you want to do, but how do you feel about this? I mean, are you lighter? Are you happier? Are you more fulfilled?
Oh, I'm definitely happier. I feel like I'm holding my shoulders up higher too. When you're playing bad hockey, nothing feels like it's going right. You're sluggish. You're moping around. You're like, I'm not doing anything right. My school sucks. Like everything's going wrong. But right now, I just feel like I'm on the top of the world. Some people are embarrassed to play their second year of 18U hockey. I don't see an issue with it. If you need it, you need it. And that's just where I'm at right now. Like if I needed it, and I'm going to have a good time doing it. So
let's talk about your perspective from being around Chris and I for now 3 years, me even a little bit longer. I want to hear what else have you applied that we talk about a lot into your daily routine? Like you work 10 weeks with us in the summer camp. You hear our messaging all the time. You wear the 100% dialed in bracelet. We probably given you our dialed in mentality hat. Like what else have you applied from a lot of our talking points? And sometimes it's a little curriculum, and we're at the Athlete Academy together, but there's more, because I know that you do things now that you didn't do then. Because you can still be having fun, but there's more that made you go from a fourth liner that didn't play to a captain.
Yeah. I think on the future pro side, on the Jeff Lurk side, is being detail oriented. Everything in life, you have to be detail oriented, and if you're not, you're just going to fail. Whether that's something as small as getting up on your first alarm, or brushing your teeth in the morning, eating a good breakfast, like everything has to be detail oriented, and if you're not, then you're just not going to succeed. That's just what it seems like to me. One thing on Chris's side is realizing your full potential. Like my 15th year was when I first met you, and you came in, you had us do that T-pose thing, and I held it for 40 minutes. I'll never forget that, because I wanted to drop at 5 minutes, and you were in my ear yelling at me saying, you got more. And that kind of clicked that day, where I was like, there's always more in your body that you can give. Like, help me realize my full potential.
Why don't you explain that exercise, Chris, just so we can visualize what that is quickly?
Yeah, so I'm buddies with a guy who trains Navy SEALs, and the Navy SEALs do all kinds of things, just simple, primal, calisthenic-y type stuff that just seems meaningless and brutal, whether it's, who's going to carry the boats or whatever thing, it's that kind of thing. But there's this thing they do, they'll put like a log over your shoulders. Now, if I bring a log in to you guys, I'll be arrested for child abuse, but it hurts just as bad to put your arms out like this. Not so much in the beginning, but you do this for a couple minutes, and you
just
start
holding
feeling
your arms, just lateral.
Oh yeah, that's right. For the
side.
guys who can't see us right now, yeah. So the guys listening to this, put your arms out just straight to the side, like you look like a letter T. I call it T-post, and you hold your arms like that. And when you hold them out straight, palms down, the tops of your shoulder, the caps of your shoulders, eventually hurt so bad it feels like somebody's jamming a fork down in it. But it's all illusion. It's just your body freaking out, and to some extent, it starts freaking with your nervous system, and sometimes you'll start crying. Actually start crying, not crying like boo-hoo, but like, oh my gosh, my eyes are watering, because it's such a sensory freak out. But your brain keeps giving you all this feedback that, oh my God, something's wrong. And the point of it isn't to crucify people, but to put them in a situation where they actually feel something that makes them want to quit over and over. And I keep telling them, you can quit anytime. But when they choose, like you did, amazing things can happen. And 40 minutes is just total brutality. 15 minutes later, it's like nothing happened. But in the moment, you feel like the world's falling apart. So.
Mm-hmm. And that's that's what I had mentioned earlier. You started to make decisions. Now that was one where it's in the intensity of kind of a challenge around others that are doing it.
Yeah, you don't want to lose your teammates, right?
Right. And you started to make these decisions. I know from being around our summer camp tour, you're a shooter on the goalies at camp. And during that we have a 40-hour work week. You still found time outside of that 40-hour work week to put the time and dedication into your off-ice training and to getting on the ice for yourself and to balancing a busy schedule and competition of some games on the weekend and summer play and everything. So that's the balance that comes along with it. You're a teenager growing up. You got to make a few bucks, stay busy and work, be around your friends. And then you have to find that, I don't even want to call it sacrifice, but allocation of time to put in for yourself to improve.
Yeah.
And those are decisions that are difficult. It's easy to just shut it down after working all day at a camp and kind of just go right out and hang around with buddies. But I've seen you make those decisions. I've seen you set a goal for yourself to shoot 500 pucks a week in the shooting room, and you're leading your team in goals. So there's all these little things that you've done, which is why you've started to have success. And then our job now as the mentors is to say, hey, this is what got you there. You stay on it and you double it.
Right.
And you go for more. You haven't accomplished your goal yet. You're in the midst of the path. So there's going to be more stuff coming along the way. And that's why we wanted to come and bring these stories to our listeners so far. We have youngsters that are 9, 10, 11 that are listening to this, and everything's been rosy and great and fun. Mm-hmm. And they're going to hit a point where it's like, oh, this isn't as easy as when I was the little 8U stud, right? Or they're going to start to develop some of these difficulties in the game. And you're someone who we've seen when that pyramid starts to get a little narrower toward the top, starts to squeeze people out, opportunities aren't there. And it's easy to see people flying off the sides, and you were kind of hanging on and pulled yourself right back into it. So that was really a lot of our visualization, or a lot of our reason of bringing you on, of being around the right people, making good decisions, working hard, and then loosening up a little bit, right? Loosening up, starting to have some fun. And is there anything else that, now that you know there's maybe even some youngsters on there or other, not that you're going to speak to the parents, but really just the younger athletes, anything else you want to give to them in terms of what else that they can do and just to keep enjoying themselves?
Yeah. I do want to say one thing to the parents that are listening.
We'll edit this later. Sorry, go ahead.
I do understand you want the best for your kids, obviously, but there came a point in time where both my parents just stepped back. They're like, coach has got it. Coach is telling you what he wants you to do on the ice. I don't need to be a second coach at home. And that's what helped me out, is I didn't think about impressing my parents anymore. I didn't even think about them being in the stands. I just got in the car and they're like, how do you think you played? I'd either say good or bad, and then they'd talk me through it. Why do you think you played bad? Why do you think you played good? And then they'd give me their input. They wouldn't give me oh, you should have forechecked harder on this one. You should have shot this puck. It was about 16th year that they started doing this, and that helped my career out a lot. Is just let the coach do their thing. Coach knows what they're doing most of the time. So just let them do what they're getting paid to do.
Yeah, we've discussed that before, how they're not going to control the coach.
Right.
Regardless of how that conversation goes in the car, you guys can sit there and complain and break things down all day, but that's not going to change what the coach saw and did. So that's great advice. It's just, of course, you can be there for your son or daughter, debrief a little bit. Some athletes want to come and discuss some certain plays. Yeah. And others just want to say, hey, I want to maintain silence and let me do my thing. And I think that's all situational.
It's good for both. If your kid wants to come to the car and just start yelling at you about their coach, about how they don't like their teammates, and so be it. But if they want to stay quiet, then they can stay quiet. It's not that they're hiding something from you.
Yeah, just think if people look at you from a distance, if they look at you as that guy who's number 3 last weekend for shots, or number 8 or whatever for goals, it's easy to think, well, this guy's got it made. He's always been good. He's always done this thing. And it's so great that you show that there is an arc, and you do hit your head on things, and everything is deciding all the time. Am I going to handle this? Am I going to move on? And I just love that your story is telling people what's possible and is telling them the truth. Do you have anything you could say when people really, really feel like, man, I just suck? Because you know this thing we talk about, this I suck, I'm awful, I'm terrible, I'm a piece of crap, letting my coach down, letting my team down. It holds everybody back unless they find a way to get past it. Do you have anything you could say to somebody who's maybe in a downward spiral thinking, man, it's just not working?
Yeah. If you're thinking I suck, like it's always good to just take a step back and look at the big picture. Like if you're playing any sort of level of hockey, you're in a good spot. You know, you're doing better than a lot of other people in the world. Some are just less fortunate, and I like to just appreciate the fact that I'm fortunate enough to be playing the sport of hockey in general. And if you're struggling on the ice, I mean, just play simple. There's no reason to do something special to try to just get a jump of confidence. If you just play simple, your confidence will build slowly and slowly, but it'll get there.
That's awesome. Thank you. So I guess just to wrap up, the reason we had you here today, and I really hope the listeners can see, we've got a guy here who's had a real life. This isn't some silver spoon in your mouth, easy way, everything's worked great, work hard, good things will happen. But if you're listening right now and you're a kid, you know that you've learned from a young age, work hard and good things happen. And sometimes it doesn't always work that way. In the long term, it's a great philosophy, but getting used to the fact that sometimes you can give everything and it just doesn't work. And parents, if you hear this, please realize too that your kid sometimes, because he's got this algorithm of work hard and good things happen, the first time something really doesn't work well, it's really hard, which you talked about when you were younger. But there's this bigger, better thing, and you're such a role model for this. You went from having a certain kind of life where you were just popular. People liked you, you're funny, you're smart, you're quick-witted, and you had to take a big leap of faith for something you really cared about. And you decided to step back, like your advice, and look at the big picture. And your big picture was, I'm going to give everything I have for everything I want. I'm going to be driven. I'm going to be dialed into the things I care about. I'm going to be focused. I'm going to grow exponentially, but I'm still going to enjoy my damn life, because in the end, if all you are is some sort of robot, you burn out. You just can't be that. And eventually you become so stuck in this, what should I do, that you don't get what's possible. I love that that's where you are. I love that you help people at 2 a.m. You're having a hard time and you're their go-to guy. There's just something about deciding to live a life on your terms that changes everything. Mm-hmm. It's been so nice to have you here, and it's really nice to know you. Thank you for coming. Jeff, do you want to close us out?
I want to have Aiden help me close us out. And the reason being is, as we mentioned before, we created our 5 champion habits for young athletes, for youth athletes. And just a reminder, if you want to reach out to us on social, send us a message at our Dialed and Driven Instagram, and we'll get your email. We'll send you a free copy. But Aiden is performing the habits in that guide. So I want to walk our listeners through it quick. Aiden, you've done a good job of methodically working through it. It first starts with the long-term goal. You've established your long-term goal. What's your long-term goal?
Score 40 goals this year.
Perfect. And the task was to, what do you want to accomplish this year? So that's a great long-term goal. We then work down from there. What are your 3 short-term goals that are going to help you get to that long-term goal?
Shoot $500 a week, miss the net less than twice in a practice, and get 4 shots per game.
Excellent, which probably leads to the reason why you're leading the team in goals, right? Those are actionable things that are seeing tangible results. And then lastly, there's a few more pieces of the puzzle, but I help the athletes identify areas that they can get some self-improvement. So it's a little bit, instead of calling them weaknesses, it's their growth opportunities. And it's a comparable as to players that they've seen maybe in the NHL or in college, or players that they can mirror their game off. So if you can help us establish, or if you can describe the 3 self-improvement areas, that'll be our closing of our summary here. Remember what those were for yourself? What are the 3 areas that you can improve upon to get to where you want to go?
I picked Robert Thomas, who played for the St. Louis Blues, and the 3 things that I think I could improve on are my vision, playmaking, and defensive positioning.
Excellent. So these are the things that Chris and I work through with our athletes on a daily basis. We've had the opportunity to work through our athletes at the Athlete Academy on site. We also have launched our virtual mentorship specifically toward goaltenders. But as we continue to navigate down our path of inspiring and educating and helping all athletes reach and accomplish their goals, we have the intentions to help share this guide and future opportunities for athletes all over the world to start to take these actionable steps like Aidan Miller. So Aidan, thank you so much for coming on. It was awesome to have you share your story. We all know as teenagers, you're not going to give us a summary because you're still in the midst of it, but we're all certain that you've gained a lot of followers and a lot of people rooting for you because of the things you've been able to do in your life. So thanks again for joining us. And to our listeners, work to be like Aidan Miller. Stay dialed and stay driven on your goals, as that's the only way to accomplish success.
One of the best saves you will ever see, keeps this game alive.
Chris Palmer again, the Hockey Mentality Podcast, dialed